Yeah.
Remote sport, both modern and historic. I think Nick's case is modern and historic. She's practically a brand new boat. And I'd like to introduce David Hagan, who used to own the HTS Apache, who's going to present the trophy to Nicholas too.
Gosh, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't what I was expecting. What a pleasure and a privilege to be here, organised by Mike. It's very kind of him, and it's very nice to see everybody here. I was the temporary custodian of this magnificent boat HTS between about January or February 1978 until the end of 1979, and then I lent it to a museum. That was 33 years ago. It's a very long time, but the boat itself, for those who don't know, it's very well known. It was built in 1969 by Souter of Cowes and designed by Don Shedd, and is arguably the forerunner of all the current long, narrow sunseekers that have proved so popular in all those years. Don Shedd was never a revolutionary naval architect or designer. He was always an evolutionary, and if it worked, don't touch it. So you would find if you take the measurements of this wonderful hull called HTS, it matches exactly all the long, slim, fast sunseekers that we see today. And then the museum, which were the custodians of the boat for 30 years, a terrible thing, it's sort of symptomatic of the times, I suppose. They were forced to consider their funding, and they were clearly going to close. So I went along, knocked on the door and said, you know, I'm David Hagan, I actually own that. And they said, who are you? I said, check the records. So I went and brought it home. So it wasn't hugely popular with my wife, who'd waved goodbye to it 33 years before then. Anyway, it went into the barn. And then as time went by, I was approached by Nick about 18 months ago, something like that.
2.5 years.
2.5 years ago, passenger time. And I thought he was a wonderful guy who had all the right ideas, because he recognised that it is arguably the most wonderful boat in the world. And he said, I'm going to restore it and use it again. And you go, yeah. So we've all, any boat owners here, they're all familiar with that little story. But he has done. And it looks absolutely amazing, amazing. And it has given it yet another lease of life. So, from the time when Mike Bellamy here drove it to Monte Carlo and won the London to Monte Carlo in 1972, unbelievable. Then we had owners like Charlie Gill, and he won things in it. I owned it and won lots of things. John Craxford owned it and won lots of things. And now Nick Wilkinson. So, Blackford for a while. So now, in keeping with the tradition for all owners of this magnificent hull, HTS, I have the pleasure and privilege to present him with his first trophy. Win him lots more trophies. So well done to Nick, your colleagues, Perkins, all the rest of the people involved. Congratulations to you.
David is a very modest man. The last time HTS was here was in 1979, when I think you were 3rd overall and won your class in the Cowes Torquay. The same year, he was world champion in her.
There's an incoming.
That's a real classic.
Seeing Nick work on HTS. As you know, I was involved in the building range test for Ralph Hilton back in 68, 69. I found engines for it, I sorted out the change of engines when we went to Fords, and we changed the boat from shaft drives to stern drives and all that sort of thing. So I had a very intimate association with the boat all the way along. And to be given the chance, David just casually remarked to me one day, he said, "Mike, I've got to find somebody for HTS. If you find somebody who wants to restore, I'll be very sympathetic about price." Nick was in my office one day. He said, "I love restoring old boats. He's just doing a Fancy 23. I said, "I've got just the one for you, HTS." Within an hour, I'd found David on his mobile phone. Within 2 hours, he was down there looking at the boat. And that's how it all happened.
And a couple of pints of the hair.
God, a couple of
And I have to say, the last 2.5 years have been absolutely fantastic for me. I mean, they've opened up a whole new lifestyle in a way. Met some fantastic people. Been very lucky with sponsorships such as Perkins. But they supplied original engines to the Ford Sabres, and there are still people in the factory that worked on them in the 70s. So we're continuing that thread of engineering, although we've made some changes. We've got surface drives that Mike Bellamy designed. It seems to be working quite well. We managed to get 51 knots out of it yesterday. There's a wee bit more to get yet, but we shall see.
I can see what could happen, but it could be a Martin tries to do it all, and then it all starts to fall apart at the edges.
Well, we haven't discussed